Jen McCabe was clearly at the head of her class of How to Be a Criminal 101. It was also kind of funny hearing her testify about her booty calls, I mean butt dials. Day 8 of Karen Read's trial wrapped up on Friday after a very long cross-examination and then redirect and recross of Jen McCabe, and then another witness was called. Hi, I'm Sydney Rushing. I'm a criminal defense attorney in the state of Michigan. Now let's talk about it. Jen was asked about her conversation with Trooper Proctor, who we all know is another witness in this case that is problematic for the prosecution. The conversation had to deal with Karen's broken taillight on her SUV. The exchange about this topic between Jackson and Jen McCabe was quite interesting, and it just goes to show the issues with Jen's testimony. It went a little something like this. Jackson asked, "What I'm asking you is, what did you tell Proctor on January 29th? That's my question. Do you remember the exact words that you used?" McCabe said, "I believe I said it was cracked. Missing pieces." Jackson said, "Do you know that, or are you guessing?" Jen said, "I'm not guessing." Jackson said, "Do you remember that specifically?" Jen responded with, "I remember describing it as cracked missing pieces." Again, this is problematic with her testimony, and at this point, after already testifying, giving several reports and all those things, there should be no "I believe," "I'm guessing," "I would say," things like that. It should just be a done deal. Jackson straight up asked her if the group was trying to run damage control. Then the text came about. She texted her sister that Carrie talked to the cops and kept it simple. And then when she asked her sister if there was an update, sister essentially said, "Look, we'll find out more tomorrow, but we don't want to put it in text." And again, here's somebody who did How to Be a Criminal 101 and did an ace of a job on their midterm. Never put it in writing. Group chat was also entered, and this message was between Jen, her husband Matt, her sister Nicole, and Nicole's husband Brian. Matt said, "If she pleads out, it will end. If she fights it, it'll be an episode." And Jen said that Matt was likely referring to Karen. Shockingly enough, Jen admitted that she was listening to Carrie's interview with police enforcement. Jackson accused her of colluding with other witnesses and using her hearing of Carrie's interview to organize her statement to police. Of course, Jen denied that. She made several calls to John after midnight, saying that some were butt dials, but she did talk to John at least twice after midnight. She again said that Karen asked her to make the Google search regarding how long to die in the cold and hypothermia, then said that she and Carrie discussed Karen asking for the searches to be made, but that is actually opposite to what Carrie said during her testimony, noting that she never heard Karen make that request. The defense also asked her during cross that, "You're here, you're at your brother-in-law's house, who's a police officer, right?" They questioned her as to why didn't she go inside and get somebody who has been trained as a first responder, has received a specialized training, and didn't get him to come out and help during these precious moments. And he said that you didn't go in there because you knew better. And essentially that because you knew what really happened. On redirect, Brennan kept it short and sweet, which is a good choice when you have a bad witness and you really don't have the possibility of rehabilitating them. Discussed how it was quiet in the neighborhood, and Jen said she doesn't recall any sirens when first responders arrived. Discussed several other of her text messages that basically said that she was sick to her stomach and she was, she could not handle what was happening regarding John. She also said that she was never informed by law enforcement as she shouldn't speak to her family or others about the investigation. She noted that her family is her support group. And then on recross, Jackson hit her again in regards to her saying it was quiet in the neighborhood. She admitted that there was a cacophony amount of lights and that there was a bunch of sounds considering Karen was out there screaming. In regards to her testimony saying that she never refused to speak to police, Jackson specifically said that she stopped her first interview cold and short and refused to answer any more questions. And Jen said that yes, she did because she wanted to seek counsel. Again, watching How to Be a Criminal 101 with flying colors. Then Jen was released from the stand and Brennan played another video clip of an interview that Karen did. And this one, is essentially about her thoughts, what she was thinking, how she thought she was going to find him on the side of the road, and that her worst nightmare was going to come true. Then the state called witness number 13, Hannah Knowles, and Lally did the direct examination. Now, Knowles is a forensic scientist for the Massachusetts State Police, and she talked about the blood alcohol content of Karen Read. She said that Read's BAC was between 0.078 and 0.092 that morning. And then she went on to guess that at around 12:45 a.m., Karen's BAC could have been between 0.14 and 0.28%. And this is not factual, and I think that it's actually quite misleading to the jury, or could be confusing, because they don't know what it is. This is just a guesstimate. And as she said, everybody's body reacts to alcohol differently, and what their BAC could be, it's all different for every individual person. So these numbers, I don't believe, are realistic enough to have even been said in front of the jury. Yannetti then started doing the cross-examination, and obviously he's trying to poke, holes into the reliability of these tests. He asked about the lab accreditation. And then she said that her calculations are only as good as the numbers that she was given. And court ended for the day and judge sent the jury home for the weekend. Again, after court, Read and her father, which I don't care so much about her father, but Read gave another statement to reporters. And obviously she's not here. She's not listening to a word that I'm saying. But trust me that all criminal defense attorneys would tell you not to give a statement, and definitely not during trial. And here's your question of the day. How do you think Jen McCabe's testimony went over this time if you watched the prior time? And if you didn't, I just want to know, what are your thoughts? Do you think that she's in on it? Do you think that this is a big conspiracy, or do you think that she's telling the truth?